All right. Sorry for the delay. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. Hello everyone. My name is Satyajit Das. I'm a core developer in BNB Chain, and today the main technical thing I'm going to talk about is the differences between BSC and Ethereum. So my talk has 4 different parts. So initially, I will give an intro to one BNB ecosystem. Then I will actually talk about the differences between BSC and Ethereum, the technical differences. Then I will talk about the incentives that we provide as a ecosystem. And then I will talk about the prices which we are offering in this hackathon. Okay, so first an introduction to one BNB. So what is one BNB? Before I talk about what exactly it is, I want to talk about what problem it tries to solve. So in Web3, you can build apps, but during certain times, you may have to still rely on Web2 solutions. Okay, so we are usually partially on-chain, not necessarily fully on-chain. So what we want to build towards is to be fully on-chain. That means every kind of solution that Web2 provides, we should also have a Web3 component to it. So to do that, we're integrating a layer 1 called BSC, a layer 2 called OPBNB, and a decentralized data storage solution called BNB Greenfield. Okay, so our main idea is to offer a holistic solution so that you can build applications fully on-chain, so that you don't need to rely on off-chain stuff. So this is how the full ecosystem looks like. We have BNB Smart Chain called BSC. That's an EVM compatible smart contract settlement layer. Then we have OPBNB, which is a layer 2 roll-up architecture. And we have BNB Greenfield, which is a decentralized data storage solution. And all of them are essentially together through cross-chain compatibility. Okay, so and we have BNB token, which is common across all of them through cross-chain mechanisms. And we have Avenger DAO, which is essentially a security layer. So we take security extremely seriously, and because of a lot of hacks in the Web3 ecosystem, it is important to be secure. So smart contracts should not be able to be exploited. And that's why we have Avenger DAO to ensure security remains intact. Okay, so a little bit more about BNB Smart Chain or BSC. So it essentially acts like a DeFi hub. It's a mature infrastructure and ideal for asset issuance. It has relatively high daily active users. It's second largest with more than 5K plus TPS. It has low fees, so it's one of the lowest fees among the EVM compatible L1s. So it's on an average $0.03 per transaction, and it also acts as a governance chain. So next comes the L2 side of things. The L2 of BSC is called OPBNB. So it has very high TPS. So any L1, if it is already has a high TPS, then its corresponding L2 is automatically going to have good performance as well as low fees. So in this case, we have 5K to 10K TPS, and it's ideal for on-chain games and decentralized social media platforms as well as AI. It has it has one of the top daily active users and one of the lowest fees. So it's $0.0001 per transaction, and we have this extra feature where you can create your custom L2s. So we are creating this roll-up as a service. That service we are providing where you can create your own custom L2s based on your requirements. And then we have something called BNB Greenfield, which is essentially a decentralized data storage platform. So the focus is on hot, valuable data, not just cold storage data. And well, you may say, what's the difference between the currently existing solutions, such as Filecoin, for instance? So one key differentiator is the fact that it has this data access APIs, which makes it much easier for you to come from any platform which you are building, whether it's Web2 or Web3. You can seamlessly or very easily come to this BNB Greenfield solution. And also, it integrates with BSC and OPBNB very well. So yeah, that's about BNB Greenfield. And using these solutions, you can basically build anything you want, which are usually built in Web3, such as high-frequency DeFi or fully on-chain games using OPBNB, as I mentioned before. You can use decentralized AI or decentralized social media platforms. as well as deep in. So anything you can imagine, our system is there to help you. Okay, now coming to the actual more technical side of this talk, which is the differences between BSC and Ethereum. So before I talk about it, let's just answer why should we compare or how should we compare between different technologies or different L1s. So both are leading layer 1 smart contract blockchains, and as we know, BSC used to be a Go Ethereum fork. It started off as a Go Ethereum fork, but now it has significantly evolved. So it's better to understand what are the differences. And whenever you are comparing any two technological solutions, you should always think of trade-offs. So in this case, the trade-offs can be thought in terms of this blockchain trilemma, where this is essentially a triangle where the vertices are security, scalability, and decentralization. So you can go for one of them. If you go for one of them, you may have to do some trade-offs for the others. Okay, it's very difficult to go for all three of them and successfully build the best possible solution. So here, if we think of trade-offs, we are talking about speed or scalability versus decentralization or security. So we'll see how these trade-offs work while we are comparing between these two blockchains. So a real-world analogy can be chess, as we talked about in the previous talk. So you can always, while you are playing chess, you can go to your opponent's half and target one of its components or pieces, but at the same time, the opponent can also attack one of your pieces. So it's kind of the similar mindset here. Whenever you are doing trade-offs, you have to be sure what you are going for and what you are allowing to have some trade-offs for. So first aspect we are going to talk about is this consensus and finality. So Ethereum has proof of stake consensus, where validators can stake and become validators. BSC has something called Parlia consensus, which is a combination of proof of stake and proof of authority. So what is proof of authority? It essentially means you need to have some sort of authority, or you need to pass some sort of filtering mechanism to be one of the validators. So it's not completely permissionless. It's not going to happen that you want to become a validator now and after like 5 minutes you are already a validator. You have to pass some sort of checks before you can do that. So it has currently 45 validators. We have plans to increase it to over 100, whereas Ethereum has more than 1 million plus validators. But then when you talk about finality, which means whenever you're submitting a transaction and you are sure that the transaction is going to be part of the blockchain and never going to be reverted again, in terms of finality, BSC is 6 seconds. So it's essentially 2 blocks. So BSC has 3 seconds worth of blocks. So after 2 blocks, our transactions are finalized. We are calling it fast finality. Whereas in case of Ethereum, it's over 12 minutes. So here, talking about the trade-offs. So if we are having a really, really decentralized solution with millions of validators, then if you are talking about finality, this information about the finality has to be passed throughout the network, right? So that's going to take some time. Whereas if you're having a smaller set of validators, you might be able to reach finality faster. So here, it's a good example of how trade-offs work when you are comparing between two pieces of technologies. So next comes gas fee structure. In Ethereum, as we know, we have EIP 1559. So there is this dynamic base fee, and there is also a fee burning mechanism, and that introduces the deflation. And it's slightly more complicated for developers compared to BSC, because BSC has base fee set to be always 0, and it's a bit simpler fee structure. And BSC has a slightly different deflationary mechanism. So it has essentially 2 different deflationary mechanisms. So one of them is we burn certain amount of BNB every quarter. That depends on the price and network structure. And then we also burn certain percentage of the developer rewards. So these 2 mechanisms keep BNB deflationary. There is no such mechanism where we are actually minting new BNB. It's only going to be deflationary. So that's a key difference. So next comes the architecture. So BSC has a single layer architecture, which means you are running one single program and you are having execution and consensus totally fully unified. which used to be the case for Ethereum, but about like 2 years ago that changed, and Ethereum now has a dual layer architecture. It has its own benefits, so the execution and consensus clients are separate. So it's more modular in nature, more secure, but it is a bit more complex to set up compared to BSC. And next comes EVM compatibility. So it's more similarities than differences. So both support Solidity, both are EVM compatible. There is one key difference when it comes to this Brave rundown opcode. So if you are trying to go for a random value, if you want to get a random value in your smart contract, you have to use Brave rundown opcode in case of Ethereum, whereas in case of BSC, you will need to use the block hash as shown in this slide. So that's a key small difference, but in other aspects, it's the same. When it comes to node operation, as we talked about the architecture before, so if you are a validator or a node operator, because BSC has a unified node, it is slightly easier to set things up, and it also supports built-in pruning. In case of Ethereum, it is dual client, and it's slightly more complex to set things up. Then we talk about proposer builder separation, or PBS. So in BSC we have in BSC we have in protocol PBS, whereas in Ethereum we have out of protocol PBS. So yeah, this is the gist of all the comparison in this table. I'll quickly go over the incentives or the price structures we have. So in case of incentives, we have 3 different programs. We have BNB Incubation Alliance and Most Valuable Builder program. I'll go over them very quickly. MVB program, it's an accelerator program, 4-week curriculum. Alliance is essentially a one-day pitch event, a set of one-day pitch events with network of VCs that will really help you getting access to the MVB program grants and launch as a service package. And we also have flexible support for grants for builders, and we have incentive programs depending on the daily active users or total value logged. And we also provide kickstart programs for security auditors, infrastructure providers, as well as APIs and DAO tools. Yeah, so now then next comes the expectations from this hackathon. So we want your imagination to run wild, so we are not giving any particular topic. You can build anything you want as long as you are developing on BSC or BNB ecosystem. Then you will be eligible for prizes. And if you require any kind of support, you can ask in our Telegram channel. The prices, the first price is $2,500, second is $1,500, and third is $1,000. Apart from that, we also have a Kickstart package for the first prize and the direct interview opportunity for MVB Accelerator. Okay, so feel free to connect with us in Telegram or Twitter or YouTube. If you have any questions, come to our booth. And finally, we have this free coffee, which is accessible till late night, so feel free to grab one. Thank you.